Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Best Practices for Canceling a Show. My name is Joe Wettstead. I am Vice President of Client Services, and I'm joined today by the fabulous Mikala Thompson, Client Services Manager. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items so you know what to expect and how to participate in today's webinar. You may have already noticed that your voices have been muted. You will have the opportunity to type questions and they will be addressed at the end of the webinar. So let's get started. At accesso, we believe technology has the power to redefine the guest experience. Everything we do starts with thinking about the guest experience first, which allows us to help simplify operations, improve guest satisfaction, and drive growth for our clients. Accesso is a leader in 9 different markets, from theme parks to performing arts, zoos to festivals. Our products and services support attractions around the globe. Whether it be a food and beverage point of sale, virtual line reservations, ticketing, or guest management, our solutions help streamline and simplify operations for a wide variety of venues. The accesso ShoWare product, where we'll focus today, serves a variety of live entertainment venues around the globe. Our accesso ShoWare ticketing suite offers a complete range of software solutions to empower venues to take full control of their own ticket sales. With solutions for box office, kiosk, online, mobile, call center, and social media sales, the accesso ShoWare solution enables venues to easily control their operations, set fees, and increase overall profitability. And as we will explore today, has lots of features and functions that can help in the event of cancellation or reschedule of an event. Ambiguity breeds avoidance. According to economist Daniel Ellsberg's ambiguity effect, people will avoid choosing the option they know less about. This is especially important to consider when rescheduling an event if a venue wants to preserve revenue. As we will discuss later, giving patrons clearly defined options can be a great help in keeping refunds under control. According to the Washington Post, 95% of canceled events, especially concerts, are not canceled but postponed. So the key here in bullet 2 is having a plan in place that makes rescheduling or reallocating funds be the obvious choice. And then finally, the most common reasons for concert cancellation / reschedule are illness, bad weather, technical issues with on-stage equipment, again, would be the main reason for rescheduling an event. One of my responsibilities for the accesso ShoWare is overseeing our call center. And when the worst happens, we feel the pain along with you. One thing I've learned is prepare for the worst and hope for the best. There is no perfect way. However, I will say that a well thought out plan in advance can save venues and promoters a ton of money and help foster positive fan, patron, employee, and promoter relationships. A plan in advance is crucial. There are events that may cancel after the performance has started, creating an environment of panic on all sides. And there are performances that cancel with maybe a day's notice. No matter when the worst occurs, a well thought out plan is a great confidence builder for your staff, promoters, and patrons. I would even add that discussing a plan with the promoter in advance to understand their desires in the face of an out-of-band event is a great practice. As I mentioned, at the accesso ShoWare call center, we've experienced quite a few cancellations during the course of a year. A few in particular come to mind that I wanted to share. One in particular, this holiday season, we had a great customer, very high volume client, and they had to cancel an event about halfway through the evening. The power went out and could not be reestablished that evening. The event span was every night from a week before Thanksgiving through the first week of January. On the night of cancellation, there were multiple entry times, and there were more than 30 nights left in the season. When the power went out, it became apparent that the event organizers did not have a solid plan in place in advance to deal with 5,000 people who needed to be rescheduled or refunded. This left the staff with very little information and no preset plan to deal with the situation as it unfolded. The patrons were instructed to call the call center and either reschedule for free or ask for a refund. The ticket distribution used for this event was expansive with direct online sales, distribution partners like Groupon, Travelzoo, Gold Star, etc. There were a lot of sales channels to coordinate. There was mass confusion, and really there were some scary moments for the on-site staff as a mob started to form around the box office. And as is usual, in hindsight, things could have been handled differently and saved a lot of money and time and stress. Ultimately, the staff did a great job the following day using some automated means to help recover from a very unfortunate situation. Some other scenarios come to mind. My own nonprofit, Children's Musical Theater Works in Fresno, California. We're a 501c3 theater company. We were ready to go on with a performance, and one of the kids backstage pulled the lever for the fire curtain. And so the fire curtain came down. The house person who was there was not very well trained. They didn't know how to get the fire curtain back up, had to cancel the performance. So we had to deal with, the rescheduling, with people wondering, patrons wondering what to do. We had to coordinate parents to pick the kids up early because normally they drop them off and they've got a 3-hour window, and lots of parents use that time to either see the show or go do something for themselves. And it was quite a mess. And we learned from that, but again, some pre-planning would have been great. I know ShoWare Center does a lot of bigger touring artists, and we've had a couple occasions where concerts have been canceled, or a headliner, the worst case headliner, didn't show up for the show once the show had started, and this created an angry mob, again surrounding the box office, and some scary moments for staff. Another one that comes to mind would be a Keith Urban concert at one of our great customers, the Washington State Fair. The venue seats about 10,000. If you remember, a couple years back, Nicole Kidman's father passed away. In this case, there was ample notice for the event cancellation, and so there was the plan, and the execution was pretty well thought out in advance, plenty of time to work with the promoter. And most of the fans, I was shocked at how many fans actually rescheduled for the following year when Keith Urban had agreed to come back. So that was that was a good example. So event cancellations happen. I know probably each of one of you on the call today has a story of a cancellation or out of band event. We got a little poll up on the screen, and if you could, take a minute and let us know in the poll, if you could answer one of the questions, that'd be great. Okay. So next up, I'm going to introduce Mikala. Mikala, oh, and here's our results. So kind of, I think, an expected outcome, and I'm a little surprised by the yes, and we felt prepared. number, but that's great. That's awesome. And hopefully you can still take something away from today's webinar. All right, so I'm going to introduce Mikala. Mikala came to us from one of our customers, and I know Mikala's had a lot of experience, running a venue and in the box office, and she's going to share some of that expertise with us today, and kind of how to handle things in ShoWare and accesso ShoWare. And Mikala.
All right, thanks, Joe. So the first example we will explore today deals with rescheduling an existing performance due to the artist becoming ill on tour. The trigger reaction to this news is to immediately take the performance off sale or hide the event from public listings. However, making a public change to an existing performance will raise a red flag to anyone keeping tabs on the show or tabs on your website. This may cause premature calls, emails, and visits to your box office, as well as speculative social media posts, all before you even have a plan to reschedule. Before making any public-facing changes to a performance on your website, be sure to have a fully detailed rescheduling plan in place and be ready to activate it at that time. It's important that the changes to your performance setup and communication to ticket buyers are as simultaneous as possible. We will go into more detail about how to create a PR plan later in the webinar. The performance settings in accesso ShoWare are very simple to update for a known date change. So we'll take a look at those settings now. First, under General Settings for the performance, enter the new dates and times for the performance, and also extend the on-sale date fields to cover this added period of time. We're going to reschedule this for 3 weeks in the future, and we also want our patrons to continue purchasing tickets through that date. A best practice at this level is to also update the performance name and description with the word rescheduled. This will key new and existing ticket holders into the new date versus the old date. This practice is also an SEO hack. Including this term will register your event change more quickly with search engines like Google, who will recrawl your page more immediately in search results, sensing that change in date. We've also added these details down to General Settings under the info box text as a reminder to ticket purchasers as well as the box office team. Remember to update the text on your hard tickets as well. This is something that is often forgotten in this process. The system will always automatically update the stub and any other system-generated ticket fields on your behalf, but it's always up to you to customize the body of tickets. This one's an easy one. Change the date, and if you'd again like to add the rescheduled information on a ticket copy line, you can do that as well. Other performance settings to consider updating are date-based price changes, coupon code expirations, and any time-sensitive access restrictions if any of these apply to your performance. After updating these performance settings in your system, it's time to notify your ticket holders, again, as simultaneously as possible. There's a quick and easy tool to accomplish this notification in accesso ShoWare. Under the Marketing tab, you will find the scheduled messages setup under Email Reminder. Here, use the fields provided to send an email to all active ticket holders with an email address. Accesso ShoWare will send out the email on your behalf without having to pull patron data and transfer the ticket holder list into another email program. Here we have created an email using the tokens available down here to save us some time. You can also just simply copy and paste your standard reschedule email template, filling it in with dates and deadlines. Click the Send Now button to bypass a trigger time scheduled in the future to notify your customers immediately. Deadlines to respond to the box office are important in all messaging to your ticket holders. You don't want any customers deciding they can't make the new show and requesting a refund just an hour before the performance starts, risking an empty, unsold seat that could have been resold weeks ago. Options, deadlines, and specific contact info will significantly simplify this process for both the customer and for your box office team. Back to your admin screen, you can also remind your staff of the deadlines and tasks related to a rescheduled event by utilizing the login alert message. This feature is fully customizable under system messages and can include links to external sites and documents for easy access by your entire team. Remember, you can't notify your attendees or offer alternative options such as ticket exchanges or patron credits if you don't know who your ticket purchasers are. Driving online sales, requiring patron accounts with all box office orders, even comps and promotional giveaways, as well as entering email addresses during expedited walk-up checkouts will greatly increase the amount of patron data available to you when a change occurs. The more touch points you have with your customers, the better. Finally, there's the question of using old tickets for a new date. If your venue scans tickets, remember that the barcodes on previously printed tickets will not need to be reprinted or replaced. Once the performance date has been updated in ShoWare, your scanning timeframe for those barcodes will automatically update as well. If a customer requests a new ticket with the rescheduled date, either by hard ticket, mobile, or print at home, any newly issued or reprinted tickets will automatically display the updated performance information on the tickets without changing that original barcode. The next scenario we will explore is the event cancellation, meaning no rescheduling, no postponement. This sports event just will straight up not take place under any circumstance. Tip 1. Run reports before and after you process cancellations. Prior to notifying your customers and beginning to cancel orders, be sure to run and save any pre-cancellation reports for your records. This starting point of patron data, accounting, and inventory will be helpful later if you wish to reconcile the end result of the cancellation against the original sales. You will still have the ability to pull data for prior transactions after cancellations, but it does help to pull all of the active purchases in advance to have a benchmark set of data prior to beginning this process. Tip 2, utilize scheduled broadcast messaging. Once again, scheduled messaging to the rescue. Under your marketing tab, queue up the email field with all of the information your ticket holders need to know. Scheduled broadcast messaging does need to be enabled at a system level first, so contact your CSM if you have not ever used this feature. Tip 3, include a list of refund options in your email communication. The options you present will depend on any contracts you have with the team, artist, promoter, or venue. Sometimes the only option available to an organization is to refund all tickets to the customer's original payment type. If this is the case, use the system messaging tool to simply inform your customers when these cancellations will take place and when they can expect to see the credit on their bank account, which is usually a few business days, but is always based on your payment gateway as well as the customer's bank. Also, did you know that your friendly neighborhood accesso ShoWare developers can run a mass cancellation and credit card refund for an event with over 125 orders? Contact your client services manager for more details and to check if your specific payment gateway would qualify for the mass refund process. Tip 4, focus on conversions to future events. If your organization is allowed to give customers options other than a refund during the cancellation period, switch your messaging focus to keeping those funds in-house. For example, you could include an exchange, a donation, and a patron credit, and even an incentive to go one of those routes instead of opting for a full refund. This email example was delivered to all ticket holders of the canceled sporting event using the scheduled messaging function. Clarity, deadlines, consistency, incentives, and a passive response option are all key to cancellation messaging. While the artist illness rescheduling example earlier included a passive response option to simply bring your ticket in on the new date, the passive option for this sporting event cancellation is a refund. Why would you default to a refund, you ask? While you could choose the passive response to be a customer credit or a donation, This will likely create more confusion and complex refund transactions for unwitting customers down the road who may have misunderstood or just didn't take the time to read the cancellation email. You wouldn't want to take an angry call from a fan to undonate their ticket money from a local charity, right? This particular email also advises the patron to click on one of the options, which will link to an outside site. A great solution used by many of our clients is to link your ticket options in the email to an external data collection source of your choosing, such as SurveyGizmo, SurveyMonkey, FormStack, or even Google Forms. Gathering customer selections and data in this way will organize the information for your team in a spreadsheet so that your box office can tackle each fan selection without a potentially cumbersome series of back and forth emails or phone calls with every single patron. Or you can always go low tech and ask the customer to simply reply to the email with their selection. The next example today deals with the dreaded last minute change, an adjustment to a show time or date, postponing a game indefinitely, or worst of all, canceling a day of show event entirely. Last minute in this case means the customers are already in-house or possibly on the way to the venue. We've all been there. The band's tour bus breaks down 3 hours away. A transformer bursts and power goes out at the stadium. A wayward tornado decides to attend a show at your amphitheater. Sometimes the audience is already in-house when you have to enact your cancellation plan. Other times, it's at least a few hours before showtime, and you have a limited opportunity to save your customers the commute. In any case, it's absolutely imperative to have messaging templates and communication plans set up in advance that can be scaled to any variety of unexpected situations. Because unexpected does not have to mean unprepared. A customer-centric approach is critical. Empathy and flexibility are paramount to your customer service plan. Your customers are going to need to pivot quickly in their own plans, sometimes with a large senior group, a corporate outing, a family vacation stop, or a meticulously planned date night. Worst of all, fans may have flown in specifically for this event and won't be able to recover their flight expenses in order to attend the new date. If your organization chooses to put the customer first and be flexible in these situations, your fans are going to be much more likely to review and write about you favorably on social media and return in the future. We all know that you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Think about the last situation you were in as a customer when you experienced a bump in the road and how you felt about the company afterward. Did that company consider your situation and react accordingly? Or did they keep your money and let the door hit you on the way out? Your customer-centered team approach will go a long way in these dire situations. Quick and easy solutions should be broadcasted to your audience. If the audience is already in-house, they are at the mercy of your venue to let them know what's going on. Whether it's a PA system, on-stage announcement, ushers with megaphones, or impromptu signage, the more the merrier when it comes to on-site communication, as long as the information is correct and consistent. If it's the day of the event and you still have some time to save your customers the trip to your venue, you can utilize your scheduled messaging as well as social media and signage to get the word out. Let your patrons know what the situation is, what they should do, and when they should plan to hear from the venue. Even if you don't know if the artist will return to good health or if the team can reschedule to another date when the power is back on, your customers need to be reassured that communication is coming their way and when to expect it. An easy way to accomplish this is to set a date and time that you will update your patrons. For example, all ticket holders will receive an email and an automated call by 2 p.m. tomorrow with an update on the status of this event as well as your refund options. Even if you don't have a confirmed new date by then, this will buy your team some time to enact your communications plan while your guests return home. Provide guests with all of their options up front. When you do have the information for the cancellation or reschedule, be sure to provide guests with their menu of options for exchanges and refunds. With Joe's power outage example earlier, the customers could have simply returned for any performance of the same outdoor holiday event and have their ticket honored by the venue on any upcoming date. This option would have taken minimal effort, communication, and would have been an easy solution for both the customers and the venue. no patron follow-up required, and no tied-up phone queues and box office lines for ticket exchanges and refunds. Customers who didn't have the opportunity to return on one of the 30 upcoming nights could email the box office with their choice of credit, donation, or as a last resort, a refund of those tickets. In any case, use flexible guest service to build customer loyalty. Allow your box office team to put themselves in the customer's shoes for these last-minute changes to develop lasting rapport with your patrons. We've all been there on both sides, and a little flexibility can go a long way to establish and maintain your customer base. As we mentioned earlier, having a PR plan written and shared with your team in advance will greatly simplify the process of handling an event change. First and foremost, communication is key. Connect with your customers in a way that is transparent, consistent, and fair. There are many ways to make these connections. Utilize social media. Your social media accounts should be easily accessible by those who need to make these announcements. Your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat followers, and beyond will be grateful to find out on those platforms, especially if they are slow to check email and voicemails. Be sure to assign staff to monitor and respond to social media posts, comments, and direct messages to keep gossip and misinformation to a minimum, as well as answer any questions about the event. Also, don't forget to notify the artist or sports team's social media channels with the correct messaging as well. You don't want a rescheduled comedian blasting out your box office phone number to his 2 million followers. Be sure these event partners have links, press releases, and contact information to distribute on their own channels to avoid misinformation and social media mass chaos. Offer clearly defined responses from all channels. Be as concise and transparent as possible with what the situation is and what the options are for customers across all email, phone, and social media communications. Your box office staff should have all of the same information from the messaging platforms that are used in order to continue with a unified response and create consistency within the process. Clarify whether the event will be rescheduled or canceled. If the event is postponed indefinitely with no rescheduled date planned, make sure expectations for determining a rescheduled date are clearly communicated. If you don't address those expectations up front, customers will often panic with the uncertainty and request a refund immediately. Utilize mass phone calls and broadcast texts if available to your venue. If your venue has access to setting up a pre-recorded mass telephone call or even a mass text, these can be a great supplement to email and social media messaging. Again, the more touch points from you to the customer, the better. There are several reports available in ShoWare under patron reporting and fulfillment reporting that include a customer's phone number to easily transfer into your robocall and text messaging applications. With any PR and communications plan, strive to avoid making a bad situation even worse. Your outreach actions and choice of words can go a long way in determining a customer's perception of the situation. In addition to a PR and communications plan for your event change, consider impact of these changes on the operations of your organization, staff, partners, and community. Notify the accesso ShoWare call center. First, if you're fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work alongside the accesso ShoWare call center for your phone operations, be sure this contact is at the top of your list. The call center should be looped in very early regarding the situation and changes in order to respond consistently and correctly to customer calls. Your venue staff will need to be notified of the event change and deal with any implications to their work schedules if there's a new date in the works. Box office, front of house, backstage, and don't forget any volunteers or outside contractors scheduled for the event. These might include ushers, coat check, concessions, merchandise, maintenance, and valet parking, among others. Be mindful of the impact on your marketing plans and local businesses. Remember to update listings in local event calendars, amend upcoming scheduled advertisements, reschedule on-site sponsorship plans, and address any impact of the canceled or rescheduled event on partnering businesses, such as restaurants and parking garages. Finally, set up your email groups and contact lists in advance. Having email groups, automated phone groups, and phone trees for each of these categories of venue and community stakeholders set up in advance will allow you to quickly and effectively connect with these groups whenever an event change occurs. Your customer service plans should also go hand in hand with your PR and operation strategies. We mentioned many ideas for communicating changes to everyone on a needs-to-know basis earlier, and here are a few reminders and tips. Be sure that your venue signage, outgoing phone message, and website all contain consistent information about the event change. Any digital boards, marquees, or printed signage should also reflect the change, especially on the original date of the event if it was canceled or rescheduled. You don't want patrons knocking on the front door of a dark venue with zero posted information about why there's no concert that night. Adequately prepare your staff. Be sure your box office team is outfitted with information and empowered with options and solutions. "We were given no information," or "I'm not sure," are not reasonable responses for your customers to hear. Vague or incomplete details will trigger high-touch processes like customer callback lists and unnecessary extra steps in what could have been a seamless process from the get-go. Even if you don't have a plan yet, have a plan to have a plan. For example, an update about this event will be posted on our website on Monday at 8 a.m. We will also email the details to you at this time. Also, it's usually worth losing the sale to keep the customer. Remember to take a long-term approach to a short-term problem. Usually, it's worth losing the sale to keep the customer. If refunding an order or having to create alternatives to your usual policy will satisfy a patron, consider making those exceptions. Your actions in these unfortunate situations have the ability to build your brand's positive reputation while earning the praise and loyalty of your customers.
Thank you very much, Mikala. Just a quick interject real quick here on fan shield versus event shield, and just a little bit on ticket insurance. I think it's important to explore insurance options as it relates to protecting your event. As many of you know, we work with Ticket Guardian to provide fan shield, and have a few clients who have inquired about event shield for their venues. Just to compare and contrast, Fan Shield is designed to help venues enforce no cancellation policies and also protect fans when the unplanned occurs. So Fan Shield is about protecting your patrons when life happens. Fans are protected from incidents like illness, car trouble, unplanned business travel, and weather. Basically things that would keep them from an event, but not cancel the entire event. In contrast, Event Shield protects venues and promoters from incidents like a power outage that results in event cancellation, or weather or equipment failure, stage collapse, etc. So in short, both products have benefits for the venue and the fan for unplanned incidents, and it's certainly worth vetting if these solutions will benefit your venue. If you have further questions about these offerings, please reach out to myself or your CSM. Mikala?
Awesome.
Bring us home.
All righty. In closing, we offer 7 key best practices in building your strategy for canceling and rescheduling events. First off, research the policies of others. Don't reinvent the wheel. Spend some time online or on the phone finding out how similar venues deal with event changes. What do other outdoor festivals do about communicating lightning postponements? How does the other performing arts center in town address Broadway tour cancellations? Customize and incorporate any great ideas that make sense for your organization. Post your cancellation and refund policy publicly. Use your physical and digital messaging opportunities to make your policies clear in advance on your website, confirmation email, hard tickets, and venue signage, to name a few. Even if you end up making exceptions for customers, you can always point toward your posted, well-communicated policies for reference. Educate your full staff. Be sure that the entire venue staff, not just the box office employees, are aware of the plans for any cancellation or reschedule. Sharing the news quickly and consistently will allow supervisors to communicate shift changes and updated expectations to their individual teams. and any employees who deal with customers and the general public can adopt the specific messaging used by the box office for their own communications. Include clear options in email. All options for actionable order updates, including refunds, exchanges, patron credits, or donations, should be clearly identified in writing to the ticket holders. Bonus points for one-click options that eliminate additional contact to or from the box office. Have a thoughtful chain of command. Your cancellation strategy should be organized in advance with any staff members involved and should include redundancy at each level. For example, social media logins, site admin privileges, and email contact groups for local businesses should not be accessible by only one person in the organization. Always have backup plans that are available readily and remotely to multiple staff members. Automate what you can. Having templates built for emails, voicemails, and social media posts already built in advance, as well as groups of contacts set up and regularly updated, will save time and toil when cancellation or reschedule communications are needed. Utilize digital tools in and out of ShoWare to prepare for the worst before the worst happens. Event change checklists. Cancellation and reschedule checklists can help to keep these processes organized. Build a set of living documents that can be customized and updated based on your organization's needs and policies. Connect with your client services manager if you'd like to review the performance settings, refund alternatives, and messaging tools available in accesso ShoWare to help build your event change checklists. At this point, we are going to open up our Q&A. Katie and Lynette, do we have any questions that have been submitted so far?
Thanks, Mikala. Yes, we've had a few come in, and just as a reminder to everyone, you can submit questions to us using the questions section in your GoToWebinar panel. So please feel free to do that now if you have something you'd like to ask our presenters. All right, so just to get started here, our first question is, if we're using FanShield from Ticket Guardian and an event cancels, does the patron get a refund?
Short answer on FanShield ticket event cancels, that would not trigger a refund to the patron. That would be that would be a no. Sorry.
All right, thank you, Joe. Okay, our next question is, if we're doing a mass refund, what happens to the orders that aren't credit card? So for example, cash, check, gift card orders, things like that.
Cool. I'll go ahead and take that one. So basically, if you request a mass refund through ShoWare developers, the refund does not touch orders that do not have a credit card attached to the order. So any of those cash, check, gift card, patron credit, etc. orders that have been done as the original payment type are not touched by our developers. And sort of piggybacking along with that, if you have an order and submit for a mass refund and an order has multiple tickets, like a package or has purchased multiple shows, those orders also will not be touched because we wouldn't want to inadvertently cancel more upcoming tickets than we need to. So basically just single event credit card orders for that specific event cancellation can be mass refunded by our developers.
All right, great. Thank you, Mikala. Our next question is, in case of cancellation, are there automated call services offered through accesso ShoWare or automated call services that we recommend or has worked with previously?
Awesome question. Joe, do you want to address that from a call center standpoint? Do you have any vendors that you guys like to use for that sort of thing?
We don't. We've assisted venues in getting a list and helping them kind of knock out the list as an extra set of hands previously on those customers that take advantage of that service. We've certainly done that. I know in a prior life, I know there's services out there that do automate calls. That you can just take an export from ShoWare and import those phone numbers in and do a mass call. I don't have specific ones off the top of my head though.
And I would just add along with that, don't wait until you want to use that to set that up. If that's something you're interested in or maybe hadn't considered before, now's a great time to get your Google on and maybe price compare. So that's all set up and ready for you to just upload that list, record your message, and shoot it out to those people at that time, instead of having to, maybe panic and have to choose a provider in 5 minutes. But that can be, like I said, a great supplement to the email messaging as well. And there are tons and tons of vendors who offer that.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you both. The next question I can actually answer, will we get a copy of the PowerPoint emailed to us? So what we do with our webinars is we always send a link to view the video recording the day after the webinar. So you should all be receiving that in your inboxes tomorrow. We will also be posting this online on accesso.com within the next week or so. Okay, and it looks like our last question is, if we want to refund cash orders to a credit card, can you do that in accesso ShoWare?
So the short answer to that is yes. If you did need to do that, we could set you up for that. It is a setting in your backend in order to make a refund to a credit card when a credit card wasn't used in the first place. With a wave of caution though, you will incur credit card fees for an order that originated in a different way, like cash or check, if you did need to actually refund that. So it would definitely need to be an exceptional type of situation rather than the rule to enter a whole bunch of credit cards that weren't originally charged. So yes, it is possible. However, we would just encourage you to use great caution, in using that for your own cancellations.
Great.
All right, thank you, Mikala. And thank you, Joe, and thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar, Best Practices for Canceling a Show. And a special thank you also to everyone who participated in our poll, especially for your patience as we were navigating some technical things. This was the very first time we've done a poll, and it was really exciting to see the results. It sounds like 60% of you have experienced a cancellation that was at least a little stressful, and 14% have never been in this situation. So hopefully there were some pieces of today's presentation that can be helpful to you in the future. If we didn't have a chance to address your question, we will make sure to follow up with you individually. And if you have any other questions, or if you would like to learn more about our accesso ShoWare solution, please contact sales@accesso.com. As I mentioned, we will be sending out a link to view this recording within the next day. So on behalf of accesso, Mikala, and Joe, thank you again so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.